So I'm sure any filmmakers out there will know that it's quite an expensive business, even if you're just making things on a small scale, like our little animated creatures over here. Also, I feel like I'm using a lot of materials, and as someone who's into quite a lot of recycling and greenness and stuff, I kind of feel bad just using loads of stuff up. Also, I don't know about anyone else, but I just spend my entire life surrounded by boxes, not helped by my husband's Amazon obsession. So I thought, I've got all this stuff everywhere, maybe I can actually utilise it rather than actually wasting it, and we can actually sort of kill two birds with one stone. So in today's video, I'm going to have a try at making some little sofas. I have to make a sofa for a project I've got coming up, so I thought it's just a good way to test that out. So this isn't the actual doll I'm going to be using. We still need to make that, and I will make some little puppets in future videos, so stay tuned for that. But obviously I'm still going to be using the same size so we can use her for guidance. So basically I just want to make a sofa to fit someone this size. So I'm going to use a few different materials. We're going to play around and see what works. And like I said, this is stuff that would have otherwise gone in the bin. So yeah, if I wasn't doing this, the stuff would just go in the bin. So even if it does just end up going catastrophically wrong, all I'm really wasting is my time. I'm not really like wasting any money or using any products that have cost me loads of money. So I'm going to have a go with a few different materials. I've got loads of boxes, like I say, so I think that's a good start. I've got some material scraps. It's actually from a duvet that I bought that was the wrong size. So I mended that. Always crafting. So yeah, we're going to see what I can do with that because I can't really do much else with it. So yeah, see if there's anything I can do with that. I've also got lots of polystyrene that came with a chair, and I have absolutely no idea what to do with it. So we're going to have a little play with that as well. I'm not really sure how it's going to work. Also, that sound upset anyone else? Sorry. Maybe someone likes it, you know, ASMR. Is that ASMR? I don't really know, it's not really my thing. Anyway, I also have been building a bookcase, not this bookcase, but a bookcase. I've got quite a few little offcuts and stuff, so we're going to have a go with that as well and see if I can make one out of wood. I've not really made something that quite small with wood before, so I don't know if it'll really work. But as I say, they're only offcuts, I would have thrown them out otherwise, so you may as well have a go and we'll see what happens. So I thought the best way to actually understand the structure of a sofa was to actually investigate one. So here we are on my sofa. So we're just going to back up and have a look at the shape. So here we are. So we're just going to look here at the basic shape of this. I don't want to overcomplicate things by doing the cushions as well. So what we've mainly got here is one base, one back, and then these two arm pieces. So I think that's what we're going to look at here. So to better explain how I'm going to achieve that with my models is to get out my Lego. So here I am with my Lego. We're going to try and replicate that shape that we've just identified from the sofa. So here we've got a base, then we've got a back piece, and then we've got two armrests. You can see what I've done there. So basically that's what we're going to use when we're making our little sofa models. We're going to use 4 basic shapes like that and try and put them together and see what happens. So let's get making. am fresh from making a bookcase. I'm sure fresh is quite the word. I'm a bit warm. I've got quite a few good chunks of wood left over. Got this piece, which unfortunately isn't quite big enough to make another shelf. So I don't really know what else to do with it. So we're going to try and make this into a sofa. So I'm going to mark that out and then we'll get going with that project. Also, while I was cutting up wood, I've also got these random little really small bits. I don't actually have a really big chunk, so I'm hoping to make some more small shelves or something with that. But some of these little skinny bits, like the hoarder in me doesn't want to throw these out because I might have use for that. I mean, probably 15 years till I work out what to do with it, but this is the harder way. Some of these I think actually might have a purpose. Certainly if I can upcycle them into something, I will. This is, I mean, I say it's free, obviously I had to buy the wood, but I've used the wood for what I need now, and these bits are basically scraps. So if I can actually make something useful out of them, that would be awesome. It's just a case of working out what to do with them. I'll get on with making the sofa, and while I'm doing that, I'll have another think. Yes, I think these are probably going to show up in another video sometime soon, or not so soon, depending on what I can think up. But yeah, if you have any ideas, feel free to share them. We'll keep going with the upcycling because, yeah, I have so much tat that I just need to use. So yeah, we're going to kill two birds with one stone, use up a lot of remnants of stuff and make something constructive. That's the plan at least. Cool. So I'm going to crack on with the sofa. I'll let you know how I get on. So that's all the wood cut out and sanded, and now we're just ready to put it together. So the observant among you will realise that there's more pieces than I need there for a sofa. So some of them are for the sofa and some of them for armchair. Now this is definitely not because I need any more furniture. It is currently starting to look like a branch of DFS up here. I've got that many sofas. But given that it's a bit of a going on with the wood making, I've got to get myself dressed differently. I've got to go outside to the garage. I've got to get a saw. I also have to teach myself how to use a saw. Although good news, still got all my fingers. So yeah, I didn't really want to have to go through that process twice if I mess one of them up. So I've cut two lots out. Also, it does mean if this sofa does well, I've got a full like living room set all set up. So yeah, I just need to stick everything together now. So yeah, I think what I'm just going to do is I'm going to stick it together with some wood glue, get it all clamped up, which does unfortunately mean it's going to be tomorrow until I can actually see if it's worked. And then if it doesn't, we'll have to go from there. I might have to get my husband involved. Hey Tom. But hopefully the glue will work. We'll see what happens. And let's have a look at the finished sofas now. So we're going to start with the polystyrene, which is already driving me insane. The sound of this is horrendous. Sorry in advance. So this is the first one I made. I painted it as well. The paint job on this is upsetting me a little bit. I don't know about anyone else, but it looks like tonsillitis to me. Anyone? Tonsilitis? Or Mr. Blobby? If anyone who remembers that atrocity. So we have another one. I think this one actually worked out a little better. I think I'd actually worked out how to deal with the polystyrene at this stage, so the edges are a bit sharper. And I think the blue looks a lot better. For a start, it doesn't look like an infection, which is always a good start. What do we need to know? Does it look like a sofa? I think that looks like a sofa. Believable as a sofa. I mean, it's a small sofa, but that is what we're trying to do. Does it fit a little puppet? Yeah, that fits her. So that's the main things that we're trying to achieve. But also we need to know about how cost effective it is, because obviously we're doing this on a budget today, and whether it's easy enough to replicate. Now, this one was very cheap to make. So all I've really used is some polystyrene, which should have gone in the bin. Some glue from a glue gun, which I got a bag of that from the Poundland the other week, so that's not very expensive. Obviously you would need a glue gun, but I think that was only a £5. So, but like I said, I already had that, so that wasn't exactly an expense. You could also use things like PVA, it just would take a little bit longer to set. And then just some paint, some acrylic paint I had hanging about, and I think I got that from Wilko's, RIP. So yeah, cheap and easy to make. It just doesn't look the best. So let's have a look at what else we've got. So our little paper and fabric sofa. So let's go through our questions again. Does it look like a sofa? I think that looks like a sofa. Does it fit someone in? of a little doll this time. Yeah, he looks very happy there. Now, was this cheap to make? Yes, this was cheap to make. So again, I used the glue gun. You could use other things. I kept burning myself with a glue gun with this, so just bear that in mind. The cardboard would have ordinarily gone in the bin, and it's something that you get with everything. It's not even the case of if you order a lot of stuff off Amazon. If you're getting a lot of cardboard, it's obviously, you know, cereal boxes, tea bag boxes, things like that. Anyone's just kind of a lot of cardboard lying around, so obviously that's useful. Fabric, again, you might not necessarily have a lot of fabric lying around if you're not a crafter, but you can utilise other things. For instance, if you've got a tablecloth that's got a burn in it and you want to chuck it out, you don't chuck it out, you can use the remnants. You can also get things like that quite cheap at charity shops because they've maybe got stains or something on. If you're only using a small bit, you can cut out the bit that's a problem and just use the nice bit. So yeah, it's quite cheap to achieve. I did find this extremely fiddly. Again, maybe if I had a bit more practice, if I made a few of these, it might become easier, but I've already got more sofas than I have any need for, so I didn't really want to make another one. Yeah, it was quite fiddly. Making the small shapes was fiddly, and then adhering the fabric to it was quite fiddly. I also did come across a slight problem in that I think the fabric wasn't the best choice because you could actually see some of the shapes from the cardboard coming through it. So I think I'd have probably been better off using a darker fabric if I was doing this again, or perhaps some cardboard that didn't have a pattern on it. So maybe using the inside of the box to the outside of the sofa, if that makes sense. But I still don't think it's bad. I would say one problem with this is it's quite lightweight and flimsy. Which obviously isn't ideal when you're trying to hold things down. And moving on to the wooden one, where we've actually got two. We've got an armchair and a sofa. I'll just focus on the sofa for now. So does it look like a sofa? I think it does, yep. Will it fit a puppet? Yep, she's looking quite happy in her little seat. So this one's a bit more complicated in terms of the cost and how easy it is to make. Now, I was already making some shelves, so I had some leftover MDF, some PVA glue, and this paint that I'd used on the shelves. So it was all quite accessible to me. I'd also been learning how to do woodwork in order to do the shelves, so I'd already taught myself to do a lot of woodwork. And because my husband is quite a handy person, he has lots of things like saws and drills and things, so it was all quite easy to make. But the problem is I don't think a lot of people would have that stuff hanging around. So while this was very cheap and easy to make for me, because I actually had the stuff already, if I'd had to go out and buy all that stuff, it would actually have been very expensive, which is kind of not ideal because I really like this one. I think one of the things I really like is that it's quite heavy. So obviously one of the problems that you can have with the stop motion set is actually keeping things held down, and the fact that it's so heavy, it's pretty much going to stay there as it is. Whereas something like the polystyrene is quite easy and cheap to make, but it's very lightweight. So I don't really know what we do about that. I mean, probably just stick it down. So yeah, I think in terms of which looks the best, I would say it's the wooden one. But in terms of actual cheapness and ease to make, I would say the polystyrene. The problem is that even the one that doesn't look like an infection, thank goodness, I still don't think it looks great. I really just want to try and do something else with this. I'm going to try and make a sofa cover. I've never done something like that before, but I can sew, and I'm not going to need a lot of fabric to cover this up, so I'm sure there's something I can use that will be able to cover this. I'm not really sure I'm going to achieve that. Like I say, it's not something I've done before. Stay tuned and I'll be back shortly with some more sofa content. Let me know which of the sofas you liked best below in the comments, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!